Welcome to Digital Peers-Pective, which is our webinar by Markova Creative. It's a webinar where marketing minds come together to share their views, share ideas on what works, what campaigns they have worked on that they, feel like we should learn from. We just want to share and impact knowledge within the ecosystem. Markova Creative is a 13-year-old agency, and we have different clients in FMCG and other industries. And under Markova Creative, we also have ROI Digital. So thank you all for joining this session. Now, we're going to go into the speakers, the people that will be leading this discussion today. We have Gbemisola from Wildfusion. She's the head of client solutions. And we also have Hamid, who is our digital marketing strategist over here at Markova Creative. Gbemisola has led influencer campaigns for brands such as Axe, the relaunch, Nor. We all love all of those food campaigns that Nor is doing right now, the Eat This, or whatever it's called, the Rexona AFCON and WAFCON campaigns. And then Hamid has led in international and national campaigns such as Dano Milk, World Milk Day, the launch of Dano Evaporated Milk. So we're really going to be hearing from people that have led the walk and talk of influencer marketing. Thank you so much for joining us today, Gbemi and Hamid. If you have any questions during this session, please just hold your thoughts. Once we're done with, hearing from our speakers, we'll come back to your questions. You can just drop it in the chat box in Zoom, and we'll pick it up once we're done hearing from our speakers. Thank you. So 1 second. Yes. So Gbemi, hello. Hamid, hello. Please let's make sure that your mics are working. Hello.
Hello, Seun.
Hi, everyone.
How are you feeling today?
Hi, glad to be here.
Hi, thank you so much. Yes, we're excited that you're here with us today. So let's listen and talk a bit. Everyone here you guys might be coming from agency side or brand side, and you might be marketers or entrepreneurs. So just drop in the chat box. Is there any marketing influencer campaign that you've seen that you really love, or maybe a campaign you worked on that you just want to dig up? Just drop it in the chat box for us. Let's hear some of your takes and see what campaign everybody's loving. Gbemi and Hamid, you can lead the way. Let's see what influencer campaigns you guys are feeling right now. Don't be biased, though. Don't be biased. Let's hear from you, Medara. Let's hear from you, Zeno. Do you have any campaign that you're currently loving from an influencer? Emma, do you have any campaign you're loving from an influencer? Let's hear from you guys. Just 1 or 2 comments and then we move on. Okay, Chicken Republic, buy one, get one free Tuesday with Hawa. Yes, that was very, very interesting. They led it from Twitter. It was kind of like mysterious at first, but when they finally launched the campaign, people could connect 1 or 2. And then Nor's creator partnerships. Nor seems to be very intentional about, pushing influencer marketing campaign. And I would love to hear more about that from you, Gbemi. Love that we'll hear that. Desme, yes, the whole world was talking about that Desme Aim Drive campaign. That was very localized content. Everybody understands what village people are. So it was a great use of local insights, you would say. Then Aquafina, they've been doing a lot of Party of Life campaigns. I love that. Thank you so much, guys. So now, let's get into it. We've seen a lot of the rise of nano, micro influencers. Before, it used to be just celebrities that we could use. Thank you, Esther. Viva with Nancy, Seun, and Adiswa. Yes, love those campaigns. So let's dig into it. Gbemi, from your perspective, what would you say is the current landscape of influencer marketing now in Nigeria? Hamed, I would also love for you to touch on this. But let's start with Demi. What is the current landscape? How has influencer marketing evolved? What is it currently now?
Okay. Thank you, Seun.
Thank you, Demi.
Hi,
We can hear
everyone.
you.
Can everyone see me?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for having me here. So I would say that influencer marketing in Nigeria is evolving. It's evolving and it's doing so very fast. So globally, influencer marketing, I think it hit about $24 billion last year. That is 2024, and it's still projected to reach about 33 billion or something like that dollars at the end of 2025. That's to show you that from a global perspective, it is not just buzz, it is actually very real. Brands are driving partnerships from storytelling angle, experiential angle, and and it's getting very more intentional. They are getting very more intentional, and even the audience is also getting more discerning. So the shift we are seeing now, people are shifting from vanity metrics to real impact. It is not just about how many people will I reach anymore, or the numbers of followers anymore. It's now about resonance. It's about how relevant the material or the content or the information is to the consumer. It is now very much about returns. Like, what am I going to get out of this? Brands are getting very intentional with that. It might look a bit chaotic. I mean, it's social media. There's content everywhere, and we all know what the attention span is like. So, but it is still very much powerful in today's world, especially in Nigeria.
Much, Gbemi. Hamed, what's your take on influencer marketing currently in Nigeria?
Okay, thanks very much, Seun. So I share the same perspective with Gbemi. Um, Influencer marketing has evolved drastically over the years. I mean, we've gone from the big OGs before when brands want to work with an influencer, they go with the movies or the music stars. But now we've seen how that's shifted kind of, and now you from your typical someone. Sometimes I even see myself calling on my page and I see someone with 10,000 followers, 20,000 followers, and this person is doing an unboxing experience for a brand. It shows how much things have actually changed drastically. So it's no more the big influencers that are making all the money now. I even talk being at the face of the brand. You're also seeing people that are even niche influencers, right? To people from health sector, to even people for even a typical mom can also, if you have like
Yeah.
a vibrant kid, you can also be a mom influencer from that too. So yeah, it has been democratized. You don't have, if you want to talk to certain audience, you don't need to actually go with the people with the big numbers. You can actually just niche down and talk to different kind of people to reach your target market. So yeah, also because of how things have also changed from either you want to talk to how many people compared to how we see the your products now, people how many are relating with your product. So yeah, it's more about people have shifted from reach to resonance, just like how Gbemi said earlier. So if people saw your ad or they saw your content, yeah, fine. But how many people connect with it? How many people connect with it? What action do they take after they've seen your content? So yeah, it has actually evolved over the years and it will continue to evolve.
That's interesting to hear. I'm glad that you both have the same sentiments because I do. I see now smaller creators are now getting deals or with big brands. That's quite interesting to see. Maybe in your opinion, what do you think we want to now look into what works and what doesn't. So what do you think are some of like the biggest mistakes that brands make when you're doing influencer marketing campaigns?
Hmm. Thank you, Cheryl. So, to be honest, the landscape is, as much as it is powerful and as much as it is evolving fast, especially for anything that is evolving, obviously know that there will be a lot of mistakes along the way. There will be a lot of errors, and there will be a lot of some really chaotic things that you see happens. One of the biggest mistakes that I think brands make is brands mostly sometimes treat influencers like media channels instead of collaborators. Sometimes some brands, the way they speak, in those days of design flyers, brand's communication, the typical cliche brand
Mhm.
message in terms of copy, they want to sort of translate that onto the influencer or the content creator as well. You see them sending over a very rigid brief, a tone of brand speak. They expect the influencer to literally speak like the brand and be very, very commercial, which does not work because the influencer knows their audience better than anybody else. There's a reason why they have the followers that they have, no matter how small, right? So it's very important that you give influencers creative freedom. Brands that do this, those are the brands where you see those campaigns that you see that are very interesting. That's what happens there, right? Another mistake that happens is sometimes a lot of brands prioritize follower count over actual like influence, and this can sometimes be it can sometimes mean, or should I be say, associated with a kind of like personal bias that can happen
Mhm.
sometimes in selection. Sometimes brands will be like a typical brand manager can approach you and say, oh, add that person, I like her, but it's not about who you like. So you can say, "Oh, I had that
Yes.
person, I like her a lot. Ah, oh, I like that guy. Let's add that guy." But that's not what we're doing here. That's not what
Mhm.
works. So, or you see some brands chasing biggest names because they want to, they want this. Oh, this person worked for me, or this kind of this celebrity or this big name worked for me. They won't they won't check for engagement. They won't check if the person is relevant to the brand, relevant or in alignment with the brand goals, or if they share the same goals, or even sometimes take it up a notch to know if the audience that this person has, their community, is also relevant to your brand. Aside from them, their community as well, are they the people you're chasing? Or even how credible are they? They basically prioritize almost vibe sometimes over value. We see that happen a lot. Another is sometimes before campaign starts, there you don't have clear objectives. So the point about buyers or seeing chasing after names sometimes is sort of connected to not having a clear objective, because sometimes because if you have a clear objective before your campaign begins, you will most likely not make that mistake I mentioned earlier, right? So if you're clear, if it is awareness you're chasing, if it is conversion, if it is just content creation. So content creation can be the objective sometimes. You just want people to see your brand in use. You want
Yes.
creators to, you want some lifestyle integration. You want people to be able to just see your brand, to to keep
Mhm.
it top of mind. To It can be an objective. But if that is not clear, it would then that's what would then determine your selection. It is what informs your selection. It is what informs the people you should then go partner with. But these days, some people prioritize viral. You hear, oh, we want a viral content. They chase virality over chasing impact. So that kind of like vagueness sort of sets everyone up for disappointment at the end of the day. It's either your content is just there, or you create something, quite very icky that people don't relate to, or people are like, oh, what's going on here? What's this? Right. Finally, I feel like brands also like to like use on a they like to engage most of these influencers or content creators on like one-off transactions. Meanwhile, what is best is to have long-term partnerships. So you have
Mhm.
to prioritize like post-campaign, even relationship building. So you can then get like loyalty. You can't get loyalty from creators if you only remember them when you have money to do something, like when you approach them to, oh, let's please create
Yeah.
this one campaign for me, and then they post it and that's all. So you will see that that is what Kno is doing. We
Yeah.
prioritize long-term partnerships a lot. Most of the people you see with the brand, you see them continuously. And then I can even tell
Mhm.
you for a fact that those the continuous seeing that what you're doing, the way you see them, sometimes there's probably not even a brand engagement ongoing. It's just that creator, because they've become, really imbibed into the brand. It's become part of their lifestyle, and they just sometimes do things just off of their own, doing. So those are the mistakes. Most brands still don't literally follow the simple rules. They do all of this mistake, and then we see it come out, actualize by the time the content is out or by the time the campaign kicks off.
I hear you, baby. Thank you so much for that. Hamed, we've spoken about, what the mistakes are. So can we now hear, like, what are the key ingredients for a successful influencer campaign? What should brands do to get it right?
Okay, so thank you once again for the question. So I can dissect that question into like three different angles. So the first thing is relevance, right? So relevance in a nutshell just means brand fit. Brand fit in the sense that if you are going to pick any particular influencer or a creator that you want to work with, so this person fits into my brand. So it's not really about the aesthetics or the numbers. For example, you can see someone with 500K followers or 700K or even 1 million followers, but the person, half of the followers are probably just bots, or they don't even get engagements. Because one of the things that you want to do when you are picking an influencer is when you go to their page, you go through some of the recent content that they have, and then you want to see the kind of engagement that they have. You also want to even go through the kind of content that they are creating, or even the kind of engagement that people are dropping in the comment section. For example, you can also see some people, they drop a content and you see about 500 comments. What if those comments are actually people dragging them? So yeah, so it's something that you have to actually really look at. So relevance, that's the first thing. And relevance actually means if this person is a good brand fit for you. That's the first one. The second thing that you also need to look at is what kind of creator is this person? Is the person, what kind of story does this person tell with their content? And when this person does the content for us, and when we partner with them, the kind of story that we want to create together, is it going to align both for the brand value, and also does it align with the influencer too? So you don't have a false fit. So yeah, look at the kind of content, the story that you are creating. So and this is where even my favorite type of influencers or creators come into play. Because I see creators like two different kinds. There are content creators and then there are influencers. So my favorite part are actually the content creators. And then an example is someone like that of a kitchen lover, right? She's a chef, and then she creates content around food, recipes, or meals that you can create, right? So when a food brand approaches someone like this, you know there are loads of content that they can create, different recipes, different meal that they can prepare, or even depending on even different time of the day, breakfast meal, lunch, or even dinner. So there are so many things that you can create, and that's because this person, Chef T, she's a content creator based in the food brand. And that person could be your typical apropos doctor. He has niched himself to health, right? So he's a medical doctor, and then he creates content around health. So when you look when a brand wants to work with this kind of person too, there are so many things that you can talk about. Things about how we can make your health better, how you can eat better, things like that. So yeah. So my favorite kind of people that I like to work with are the content creators. But then there are the influencers too. And these influencers are they are popular, and sometimes they are actually even you know them for different kinds of things, right? So for example, a typical influencer that falls in this category could be your movie star or your music stars, maybe a Davido or a techno, or I say techno, a Davido or a Wizkid. And we've seen Davido and Wizkid, they've done influencer content or influencer partnership with brands like Techno or even Infinix, right? So it just depends on the kind of influencer that you are looking to work with. So I've mentioned about relevance, which is brand fit. I've talked about storytelling, which is the kind of story that you want to create, that you want the influencer to create for your brand. And the third thing is trust, right? So trust is actually a very, very good currency that you need to have as an influencer, because when people see your content, they trust you. And then they expect that anytime you are talking to them, you have their best interest at heart. So you don't come out to them like a sellout. That you actually share a product for them to use is because you actually believe in that brand, you've used it, and then you are sure that by the time you relay this message to your audience or your message at a level of trust. So yeah, so there are like three things that I think that the key ingredient for a successful brand campaign. So relevance, storytelling, and also how trustworthy the personality is. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Hamid. I love how you touched on the distinction between content creators and influencers. For example, Davido is not a content creator because he might not even post on his page. Like
Yeah.
we hear about he being the brand ambassador for this, but there's nothing on his page about that brand. But they are making use of his likeness in their
Yeah.
own content. But he's not
Yeah.
the one creating the content, unlike the Diary of a Niger Girl. She will carry the product into her kitchen, cook with it, post about it, even ensure that her community members make use of it. That's something that Tomike does a lot. So knowing that distinction will help your strategy also. Thank you so much. So Veni, um, let's get into this micro and nano creators. And I've been seeing Lord using some influencers that are not necessarily that like celebrities. So what's the strategy behind, micro or nano creators, even for the Vaseline brand? I've been seeing some more micro brands. With celebrities, there's guaranteed reach, that at least everybody will know about your product in the market. But with nano and micro creators, what is the ROI in that?
Okay. So micro and nano creators are actually gaining more grounds these days because these people are the ones who actually move products, they move culture. So you're more likely to believe someone like you, someone you can relate to, because when we use social media, we mostly always follow people we like, depending on what your use of social media is. If you are just there to laugh, you probably will follow like people who make you laugh, or they're mostly people like you, people that do things that that you like, probably you aspire to do, or that you share the same interest. And these people are not celebrities, they are not influencers. Most of the time they don't even have that much big followers. You see their followers ranging from like 2,000, 3,000, up until like 10, 15, right? These are the actual, but when you look at the community size, it is massive, it is very much
Mhm.
believable. And brands are tapping into this, or should I say they are beginning to tap into this. But then it also depends on what your objectives are, right? So a Davido being a celebrity might be what works for you in terms of like driving awareness. I remember when they launched this wow detergent,
Mhm.
right? You would look at it, me from a brand person point of view, when I look at it, I'm like, he doesn't use detergent, right? But at the time, you could tell that it was Lunch. He probably doesn't even like wash his own clothes or know the detergent they use to
Yes.
wash his own clothes. So why would he come and tell me to buy Wow? And that Wow is good. You see him shining teeth with like the products on a very big billboard, and then you even see some content online. But at the time, they were launching the products. So for a launch, you would expect, I'm 99% sure that the biggest objective for the brand at the time was awareness. They want people to know about the brand, and that is where it comes in. Because anywhere you see anything you see the video with, there will definitely be awareness. You will get my attention, right? And you got my
Mhm.
attention. So it will turn heads. You just need to place this picture near anything, and there you go. You have your neck snapping creative, and you get the attention of people. Now, will you get them to buy? That's another question. But you have their attention, and that is it's an objective too. But depending on where you are with your strategy, it is something that you can do. But here's the thing: nano and micro creators often like have higher engagement rates. Like I said, they have like this deeper level of trust with their audience. It is not like just about the numbers. It is how it's about how real they feel to the people that follow them. And then when brands work with these guys, they are tapping into that authentic, that community. And these people have like more intimate conversations with their guys. Like you mentioned Vaseline, most of the people you will see on Vaseline pages are just nano. They're even mostly nano, not micro in most sense.
Yes.
Because they are people who use Vaseline day to day. They are people like you
Mhm.
and me. So if you see the person, sometimes the brand can just register in your subconscious, or sometimes if it's someone you already follow and you like their audience, you like their content, you will most likely buy. And from a brand perspective, is also a matter of cost as well. They are cost effective. Why do you have to use your entire budget on somebody that is very popular, which they will charge you more, and they are probably not even as flexible to work with as nanos will be, right? They will charge you more. You won't really have a lot of authority in terms of what the person ends up doing. They might end up even being difficult to work with, and you can use that same budget and work with a lot more people, right? A lot more people that would give you more value. Not that they are paying cheap, but obviously those creators have their own rate card which commensurates with whatever engagements they are going to give you. But no matter how you still look at it, it is still much more reasonable to then use nano and micro in that sense than go with maybe much more bigger people. Sometimes it might not even be like a celebrity, it might just be a big influencer. Like take your BB Niger guys, for example. So there's no use for that kind of individual when I can use normal people that sort of fit into what I'm trying to achieve way more. The relevance is there, the resonance is there, and then I have flexibility. You can tell them all I just need to probably even write in my brief sometime is lifestyle integration. I want to see you just integrate it with your lifestyle, and they'll be the one giving you ideas. Oh, I use Vaseline for this. Do you want me to show that? And they'll be like, oh, that's cool. Yes, please do. Right. But you won't get that kind of commitment or that kind of relationship and, you know, uh, relationship with if you work with some other bigger people just because, they are bigger and, oh, they have more followers.
Thank you so much, Demi. That was quite insightful. I like how you said that, the type of nano and micro influencers are very much community led. While their followers are small, they have a large presence in their community. People will listen to them. It feels more authentic because they're a smaller creator. And I like seeing content from these people. You still have access to them. They respond to their comments. They even respond to story posts and all of that. So it feels very organic. Thank you so much for that. Hamid, let's get into ROI for influencer marketing, campaigns. What are results or what are key metrics that we should be tracking when we're doing influencer campaigns? Is it just the impressions or what really matters for brands?
Okay. So it depends. Aside even an influencer campaign, for your regular campaign generally, every campaign should have an objective, and then you should have KPIs or the thing that you want to measure that will give you that big picture. Okay, that after this campaign, this is what we are able to measure at the end of the day. So for an influencer campaign, if the objective is awareness, that means you want to, at the end of the campaign duration, you expect that there is like a brand lift, that whenever anyone talks about this product at the end of the day, at least they could relate or they could connect that this content or this product, it will connect this message to a particular influencer that have done it. So what are the things that matters most, right? So if engagement rate is one of the things that you want to measure as for an influencer campaign. So for example, if an influencer drops a content, you want to look at how many people engage with this content, how many people engage with it. And also there are some influencers that they don't just post and then go and sleep, right? You'd expect them that after they've posted the content, they're also, even in the comments, they are engaging with people. So when people ask questions, they are responding to this question that people are asking, right? If it's a new product, and then you are doing content for a new product, people are going to ask more. They are going to ask questions about this, how do we use this? Where can we get this? You'd expect that influencer to at least have some level of knowledge to actually engage with these people, provide some responses. Of course, at the back end, the marketing agency or the strategist would have given or have prepped up this influencer so that by the time these questions come up, they should be able to have and be well equipped to actually answer these questions. So one of the things that you want to actually measure is engagement, right? How engaging is the content, and how the influencer is also engaging with people that are actually commenting or dropping comments with the particular content. So that's one. Another thing you want to also measure is conversion, and conversion could be either clicks. So what is the CTA that you are trying to attribute to this particular content or the campaign, right? Do you want people to click to a website, or do you want them to sign up to a program, or do you want them to make a purchase after the content has been done? So that's another thing that you also want to look at. So for example, if it's also probably a new product or a new variant that hit the market, and then you want the influencer to create content about this product, right? Of course, you'd expect that at the end of the day, people are actually trying to actually buy this product. So if it's a skincare product or if it's a dairy product or any product, right? So we expect that there are people asking questions, where can I buy this product? Okay, I bought this product because I saw this content from this particular person. Yeah. So that's another thing that you also want to measure. Another thing also, I'll give an example to a campaign that we did recently for World Milk Day, right? So one of the influencers that we worked with was Aproko Doctor, and then we were trying to advocate for people to consume milk, and then the content he did was actually asking people, encouraging them to go for milk, and it's a UGC-led activity, right? So when he dropped the content, the CTA that he did at the end of the video is for people to also recreate that video, talking about how they are going to go for milk after go for milk for their health, right? So for that particular campaign or for that particular activity, we are expecting UGCs or people that are using that content and they are recreating content from that particular video that he has done. So UGCs or entries or people that are creating content, you're expecting so by the time you drop the video, you want to measure how many people participated or dropped a UGC after that content has dropped, right? And the last thing that can also that we can also measure is audience sentiment over time. So Gbemi said something earlier that one of the best ways to use influencers or creators these days is not one-off, but actually long-term, right? And then that's because you want, if you are working with an influencer or a creator for just one-off, right, they are not as immersed as you'd expect. But once you are working with them over a long period of time or over a duration of time, from each content that they are creating, right, they are even getting more immersed, they are becoming more knowledgeable. And then when people start seeing when the influencers start coming to their page and they are dropping particular content, right, people start resonating with this and they can even ask questions. So even if your campaign is for like 1 month, 2 months, or 3 months, right, and the influencers have dropped about 3 or 4 content over that period of time, you'd expect that the brand sentiment would have lifted a little. So anytime anyone hears the name of a product, or they hears anything else, any particular element about that particular product, they can easily tell that, okay, this product, I heard it from this person, and then I can buy it here. So at the end of the day, it's actually the brand relaying the message to the influencer, and then the influencer relays that message over a long period of time, and then the audience also, now they've picked up that message now. At the end of the day, you probably even now have advocates for that particular product. So it's like a chain. So from the brand to the influencer, and then to your consumers who are now even advocates now, they're also laying on that chain afterwards. So brand sentiment over a period of time is also another thing that you also want to measure. So I've mentioned about 4 things: so the engagement, the conversion, what people do after they've seen a particular content from your creator, and UGCs, if the content is UGC-led campaign, how many people create content after they've seen the video from the influencer, and also audience sentiment over a particular period of time. Yeah.
Thank you for that great recap, Khaled. So, a common theme we hear from clients often is, we don't have budget for this, we don't have budget for that. In the current, current marketing times, how do you think brands should allocate their budget, not just for digital marketing, but for influencer marketing? Do you think it should take a larger portion of, the entire budget? Let's start from you, Hamid, and we'll go to Benny.
Okay. So when it comes to influencers, right, it depends on the nature of the campaign. Again, every campaign should have an objective. Do you want to create awareness, and how big of an awareness do you want to create? Or do you want to create is your campaign about engagement, right? Or if your campaign about product usage? So first thing is to first know what is the nature of the campaign and what objective and how big do you want to do. So that's one. So two, influencers, there are different tiers. So there are the big guys, your tier one, your movie or music stars. Then there are the tier two, which are probably your maybe the Apple doctors or your Diary of a Kitchen Lover. They are still big, but they are niche influencers, right? And then there are your micro influencers, probably that have about 100K followers. And then your nano influencers too, less than 10K, less than 5K influencers. So it depends on the nature of the campaign, and that's when you can now build your strategy around it. So for example, if you are launching a campaign and then you want to reach a massive audience, you are not looking at your micro or your nano influencers. You want to go for the big guys, right? And that's also depending on the budget that you have, right? So you are going for the big influencers. So if you are looking for probably a Funke Akindele now, a Funke Akindele budget is going to be probably twice or three times as much budget compared to when you are going to work with a nano or micro influencer. So it depends on what you want to do, what objective that you have, right? So for example, if you're going to work with a Funke Akindele now, she's going to bill you quite a big chunk of budget. But for that particular budget, you can actually work with 10, 15, or even 30 micro influencers to do a particular kind of campaign, and then you can see it's your KPIs. So it depends on your KPIs, what you want to achieve, yeah, and then you can now attribute budget to it accordingly. Also, influencer marketing is also an aspect of digital marketing. So your content, your strategy doesn't start and end with an influencer. And that's a mistake that some brands would make if they want to just start and end their campaign with influencers. No, there's content strategy, there's influencer, there's also paid media. If you are working with an influencer, how do you want to amplify this content? Do you want to amplify it on Meta alone, or do you want to take it to TikTok? So these are other things that you also need to look at too. So it's just about looking at what you want to achieve with that particular campaign, and then you can now attribute your budget accordingly.
Thank you, Hamed. Gbemisola, let's hear from you. How do you think brands should be looking at, influencer marketing budgets, especially within both traditional digital marketing? Where should this fall into?
Okay, so I think that first of all, Ahmed is right. It is not a one size fit all, but then I would say it depends on how much importance you have given digital marketing for you as a brand, especially brands that digital marketing is very very important to their core, to their existence. Take for example, and also like Ahmed rightfully said, I don't think there's like a budget split like, oh, traditional marketing, influencer marketing. Influencer marketing mostly sometimes always fall under the scope of digital. And digital, anything, the most digital is content. You think digital, you think content. So, and hence why where influencer marketing falls, where your nano, your micro, or whatever kind of influencers you want to use come into play, right? But what brands are doing these days, the reason why influencer marketing you see is becoming really big is when you think digital, you think content. And what are the people that make this content? Brands are beginning to understand that people don't really want to hear from them. So they prefer to hear from people they can relate with. Hence why they are using a lot of influencers. Unilever globally, for example, began this social first drive since about 2020, since the beginning of 2024 officially. Social first meaning basically, gone are those days where budget split usually is always looking like, or maybe like 70% traditional that covers your TV, your radio, and OOH and all of that. And then you'll have 30% for digital. And that includes all the paid media and every activities they want to do that has to do with digital, including maybe sometimes asset creations and all, right? But with social first now, it means that you are seeing of recent you'll be seeing like a lot of almost 40-60, and maybe who knows in the nearest future you'll be seeing about 50-50, or even digital way prioritizing digital even way more than traditional aspect of marketing. So this shows you the level of importance that some people are placing on digital marketing. And with this in view, you would then see that there will be a lot of effort that goes into recruiting a lot of influencers, and you are spending more in terms of influencers you're recruiting. Lately, we've been working on campaigns where you get briefs like, oh, we want 150 influencers, we want 100 influencers, we want this influencers and that influencers. That shows you there's a lot of priorities being placed on influencers. So it's not like a one size fits all. It depends on the level of importance that it means to you. If for your brand you still feel like you need much more drive on radio, on TV, you might then decide to say, I want to spend less. Maybe just one or two spokesperson in terms of influencers is good for me, and then they regularly create content. I will substitute that with normal creatives that my agency does or that my designer does, and then we'll put a little money behind it in terms of boosting. If that works for you, then fine. But then I'm just citing that what we're seeing these days is a really great huge shift from that to more priority on digital. So maybe in the nearest future you'll be seeing a lot of 70-80% split even than traditional. I've worked with brands that did not even the brief was just for digital marketing. It had nothing traditional. The the expectation was that if the creator that we have selected, if some of the creators that we have selected, if we have some sort of really great content out of this at the end of the day, maybe we can extend it to TV. Who knows? But let's see. So I've worked in that kind of environment before, where you would get a, okay, let's see how the contents perform. If it's really good, I don't mind. We can use it as a TV ad. We can place it here, we can place it there, right? So it's not a one size fits all. I can't say this is the particular budget that you should spend. It just depends again on the level of importance of how much it means to you on, and then what you're trying to achieve.
Thank you so much, Benny. That was quite insightful. Another thing is I've actually been seeing a lot more brands pushing influencer content with ads, with paid ads. So it's no longer maybe an influencer just posts and then we just allow their organic reach to do the work. Um, how is that working? What was the rationale behind that strategy?
So that's true, you're absolutely correct. The thing with paid or boosting any content is to amplify.
Mhm.
You can't, it is bad practice to boost anything that is not already good or organically. So if you have
Mm.
someone who says, oh, I'm creating this content, I'm going to promote it, it's not getting a lot of engagement, no problem, it's going to be promoted. It is actually absolutely really bad practice. You're supposed to just boosting exists to further amplify. So there's a level of organic engagement or reach that you can get from a content, and then there's boosting that those platforms then introduces to you, that, oh, I can even, this content is really great, I can push it to even more people can get to see this. So if you put xxx amount of money behind this, that is also the same um that is the same thing that applies here. It's the same theory that applies here with content creation, because what you see brands do, Unilever again globally, let me use them as an example. With the social first drive, there's something where we say others say and brand say. So brand says whatever it is the brand is telling you, content that comes from the
Mhm.
brand, and then others says what other people are doing, because people want to listen from they want to listen to others and not you most of the time. So those
Mhm.
other say contents, when you see them on the page, we still treat them like normal branded content. When it is good, we further push it, we amplify it because it is good. So you further push it for more reach, for more increased awareness, increased engagement, or whatever it is the objectives you've set, whatever they are. So you boost them. So that's sort of like the rationale. Whenever you see that, that's always the rationale behind that. They
Mhm.
don't treat influencer content as, oh, I'm using this influencer, so I'm just leveraging their reach, I'm just leveraging their
Mhm.
level. You can do that and also even still add more. You can get
Mm.
more. Why settle for less when you have the money to get more? Because most of the brands have the capacity to buy media. So they can buy media. So why spend in buy media? Why would I spend so much money into boosting just those flat designed creative when I have this very great video?
Yes.
When I have this
Mm.
really great video that Chef T or Dima Ume has, created for me, or, one of these influencers, Angie, has created for me. So I have this great video. Let me push it. I mean, it's very organic. Sometimes you might not even, for us marketing people, you're very quick to cite an ad. You're quick to say, oh, this is a paid ad, but you are overestimating how much normal people can recognize what a paid ad is. Some people don't know. Till today, we still get a lot of people that argue that the drive, the bug of push with Chicken Republic and Awa was very organic, that wasn't paid for. And then I tell them that we paid her to do it, we told her to do it, and they're like, oh really? Wow, I didn't know. I thought she was the one, because it was very it felt fresh because
Seamless.
she was there was creative freedom. So when you have a content like that is already doing so well, and as a brand you have the capacity, then you push it so that to more people. That's basically the concept.
Thank you, Dave. Just to touch on what you just said. So I see sometimes I see the brand themselves promoting influencer content. And sometimes I see the influencers themselves promoting, the influencer content. And I'm wondering, oh, did they give them money to promote it? Or is this just the influencer taking initiative? Like I want more people to see my content. I don't know.
No, the brands promote. There are so many formats in which content can be deployed these days on social. So you can either deploy it on you can take the influencer can deploy on their own, you deploy on your own too as a brand, and then you would, if you're going to boost anything, you obviously boost the one on your page. And then sometimes it's the content is being deployed as a collaborative post, and then the brand can still also push it, right? And there are
Mm.
sometimes, maybe for some brands which I have not actively experienced, but I'm guessing I can't know. I don't know what the rationale behind them not reposting a good content either on their own or as a collaborative on their page now. But if that does not, in the case of that not happening, and it is just on the brand's page, you can still boast as a paid partnership, because it is registered as a paid partnership ad on the influencer's page, and you can still get access to boost it. Like, take for example on TikTok, if you're going to boost anything, all you just need is to at the back end, you do some request, and then TikTok sends the owner of
Mhm.
the page a pin, the influencer sends it back to you, and then the page is
Mhm.
live, and then you will see those contents being promoted. It is the brand.
Yes. Okay, now that I think of it, I think the influencer was working for a brand that is an international brand, but they are not in Nigeria. So they didn't have a Nigerian page. So that was why the influencer had to promote it from their own page.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
that's what happens. It's also the brand. So all you just need to do, the brand can set it up as well. Most of the time, for example, I'll use TikTok as example. In those cases, we work with TikTok directly. So you don't need to tell you don't need any, personal access to the person's backend. TikTok, those brands, because they are spending huge money. So TikTok prioritizes brands like that. So you can work with them directly. You get to talk to someone, they set it up for you backend. All you just need to do most of the time is, maybe TikTok sends the person the pin, and then you just say, oh, what pin did you get? And before you know it, the content is live. So that's what happens in those cases.
Thank you so much, Dini. We're running out of time now, so we're just going to go to question time. If you have any question, please drop in the chat box. I'm going to be looking through now. So we have one question. If there's any more, please drop it so that we can wrap this up quickly. So Thelma is asking, how do you balance influencer creativity with brand messaging? Ahmed, I'll need you to please, walk us through your thoughts on this. There's influencer creativity, and then there's what the brand wants to say. How do we merge both of them so that it's seamless and it doesn't look like one is fighting the other or one isn't helping the other to achieve the campaign's objective?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. It's something that as marketing strategists is what we go through almost every time, right? But again, it depends on what the brand want to achieve, in terms of their goals. and then the non-negotiables, right? Of course, you need to be flexible, but you also want to leave that creative freedom to the influencer. If you want to partner with an influencer, obviously you like their content, you like how they engage with their audience, right? And the influencer knows how to talk to their audience. So you want to keep them that tone of voice because you trust them, the influencer trusts them back. You want to keep that tone of voice. The best way to do it is you have to see it as when a brand wants to work with an influencer, it has to be from the point of view of collaboration. You want to collaborate with this influencer, right? Because they have their audience. You want to leverage their audience by talking to them. Yeah. So it has to be collaborative. Of course, there will be some things that as a brand, they are non-negotiables in terms of maybe your logos, your brand speak, your brand slogan. You want to keep those, but still allowing the influencer the creative freedom to still express themselves to their audience. Because imagine if you want to work with a lie now, and then you're asking him to, or maybe you're writing the whole script for him, and then the script, by the time, let's say even, most likely he won't accept, right? But let's say he won't accept, and then he goes ahead to do that video with your script. The first thing people will see that this doesn't sound like lie, right? There's already a disconnect there. So of course, brand needs to have their non-negotiables, but also leave room for creative freedom so that the influencer can still express themselves as unique as they are, right?
Thank you very much, Hamed. Thank you. That makes a lot of sense. Another question. Benny, how how do you manage influencer campaign timelines and project management? You know, if you're working with 150 influencers, how do you ensure everyone is giving you content at the right time so that the campaign timeline is achieved and not one person is, you know, just not meeting their deadline? How do you navigate this in an agency?
Yeah, this is where a proper onboarding comes in, right? And onboarding starts from the brief. The brief is clear, very digestible. It's done in a way that is very digestible. They understand what the brand wants, and then they know the amount of deliverables that is expected of them. From the planner's standpoint, that's for the people who are in charge of this campaign. You have to set a proper campaign structure. So if you're working with 150 people, you can't push out 150 videos at once. So it means you have to, depending on the duration of your campaign, it needs to be phased out in that sense. So you understand how many videos you're pushing out every week, or or how many videos or how many people are expected to deploy anything this week, or if it's more on a monthly basis, or if it's for a whole year, maybe on a quarterly basis, right? That framework is clearly called out from the start, and then the influencers have to key into that as well. Everybody understands where they're coming, and dates are set for each person. Even sometimes we go up a notch and give each person a customized brief. So you have a brief in which you duplicate into 150 files, and then each person has the dates that they are expected to. And then sometimes, depending on the kind of influencers you do, sometimes you can create a seamless means of communication. WhatsApp comes in here. You can have a WhatsApp group where you communicate with everyone. Everybody has their schedule, they have their timetable. Communications are hard. Sometimes maybe people can't meet up with anything. They communicate to you that they can't, right? Because that they can't do it on this day, and then you manage expectations where necessary from an agency standpoint as well. And then you can also find ways to fix things. Maybe somebody else video can come in at that time, that kind of thing. But it is very much achievable to manage as much as influencers you want. There just needs to be a very clear structure that you understand, clients understand, or your influencers as well understand.
Okay. Thank you very much, Billy. I have one last question. One last question. So the question goes, is there a way to know, Hamed, please take this one. Is there a way to know if an influencer, will give you the right outcome for your campaign before you even hire them? Maybe you want awareness or engagement or product, usage or conversion. Is there a way that you can be able to gauge, like, can you, what does due diligence, look like before you reach out to an influencer?
Yeah. So you already said it's due diligence, right? So
Yes.
one, you want to look at this influencer, you want to see if they've done this part, you have a brief for them, right? And then you know what you expect from them at the end of the partnership. So you want to do your background check and see if they've done something similar before. So for example, if you want an influencer to come to an event and then engage with people, this influencer is a person, an interactive person. Are they good at creating genuine conversations, interacting with people? If you check their track record, if they've done that and if they've done that well, there's a good chance that if you give them that brief of coming to an event to speak with people, there's a good chance that you can do that.
Okay, track record. Ahmed, we can't hear you. I think the network is freezing. Okay, while we're waiting for Ahmed, I hope it's not my network. Medara asked a question, Demi, if you can just take this. A scenario where an influencer is used for a project, and then maybe 2 weeks later or a month later, the influencer gets into a scandal. But like, how does the brand navigate it so that they don't rope you into the, influencer's bad reputation or image?
Yeah, that's a very interesting question. And it happens, right? But then if I understand the question very clearly, there are two ways in which it can play out sometimes. I'll give an example. There's a popular alcohol brand that worked with one ex BB Ninja housemate at some point. And then for some alcohol brands, they're very strict with like moderation in terms of like responsible drinking, the visuals that you portray, the way you say it, you are not allowed. Like it's literally a compliance requirement. You are not allowed to do certain things. And then while this partnership was ongoing, I think the influencer had actually deployed whatever content they used him for at the time. It was just trying to form I am some lifestyle integration with the brand. I drinks this brand every day. And then he posted one cryptic message, almost like the person was having like a depressive episode where he laid down in like something that looked like a bathroom with bottles of that alcohol, around him. So for a global brand, we went into a total chaos. Like, oh my god, take that down, like immediately. And then for a popular person with a lot of followers, a lot of people had seen it. So you had to like put a communication out to debunk it. But sometimes you can, first examine the situation and people seen it a lot. If people have not seen it, maybe there's no need for that. But if it had stayed for long, then there might be a need to, put a communication to say, oh, there was an error from one of your creator. That is not a time to maybe try to disassociate yourself from the person because it is obvious that the person is very much associated with you. But you can be associated with someone in the way at which you had used them, which your honest communication will clearly state, right? But we are in no way we do not support that particular behavior because it's a one-off. As humans we are complex. That does not give a conclusion to how the person is as a human being. So it's just that this particular behavior is not in our own brand ethos. We do not associate with this. We want you to know that we are committed to whatever corporate rollout in terms of crisis management that wants to come. That's where the statement comes in. But if it has nothing to do with the brand, if this scandal is in no way giving your brand a brand, you are not getting negative sentiments, you're not getting in terms of mentions, you are tracking it and you are seeing that people, I don't think it is in any way to jump on it. Just stay quiet as a brand. That is what I would advise if it was my client asking me this. We first of all do a proper online monitoring and tracking to see if we are getting roped in. If we are not, there's no need to say anything. But if we are, we also trace the pattern, we trace the kind of things people are saying as it concerns us, then we can use that to craft a communication to address that oh, we are not in no way associated with this, or this was our plan, or this was what we were trying to do and it was miscommunicated, or something. You can even send some love and support to the person. But I've seen a case where the brand sort of says, oh, we don't know that person, like, oh, we don't know this man. And it turned out even way much badly for the brand, because now, because consumers are very emotional, they don't, as brand people, you think there's a lot of transactional relationships that we do in terms of influence, working with influencers and having partners. But for the audience, it's quite emotional. They think the person is your family. They think you guys are besties, right? So the brand, in fact, the lashing shifted from the influencers now to the brands, that, oh wow, this is how people used to do. That, wow, in bad times, in the times of trouble, they turned the whole thing around, and it was a lot of online negatives, a lot of online negative sentiment at the period for the brand, which was not a good look. So I would advise that from a brand's point of view, you first assess the situation. If it doesn't concern you, no need. But once you start seeing that people are mentioning you online, there's a lot of tags, mentions, or whatever, and you would have to trace what people are saying, because your communication is to directly answer some questions. So because when you answer some questions, basically you're telling them professionally to, keep it short, and there's no need to raise eyebrows anymore.
Thank you so much. Hamed, now that you're back, can we just, finish up your question on what due diligence looks like?
Okay. So yeah, as I was saying, yeah, you want to do your due diligence, right? You want to go through the influencer's catalog to see if they've done something similar and how good they did it, right? So for example, we worked with Olowookere recently for an AMVCA campaign activity for Dano. But Dano was one of the sponsors for AMVCA, and then we had the opportunity to have like a stand. And then because we know people, celebrities and guests are going to be coming, so we work with Olowookere to come in and also now interact with people, because we know that he's quite a lively person. He's jovial. He can create conversations, and that was what he did. So and he came, and then the guests came around to the Dano stand. They had a good time, and he also interacted with them, asked them questions from the point of view of AMVCA and also from the point of view of the brand too. Yeah. So the only way he could do that is because he has done it. He has done it over the years. He has done it for brands, even for his own personal content too. So yeah, so that's one. Another activity that you can also look at is if your brief is for an influencer to do a product usage content. You want to look at this influencer, have they done product usage content before? So for example, if it's a phone brand and then you want an influencer to do like an unboxing experience, you are looking at someone like maybe a Fisayo Fosudo or Mistake. They've done this over the years. Say you don't even want to work with these people, you want to work with another person that also for also like a phone unboxing experience. You want to check, do your due diligence, go through the person's page, check their catalog, see how well they've done these things. So by the time you're approaching them, sometimes there might even be some gray areas that you are not even touching. They are the one that will even give you like some perspective that you didn't even see. So by the time before you even put pen to paper too, from the conversation that you're having, you can already tell that this person knows what they are doing, and then they bring their own point of view to actually make the content better. So the main thing is just to do your due diligence, check if this person has done this over the years, and then by the time you are giving them the brief, they're also sharing their idea on how to even interpret the brief better. Because what you actually really looking forward to is you want someone that can actually interpret your brief, right? You don't want someone that you just give the brief to and they just slam your content back to you. No. The reason why you're working with them is because they are a creator, which means they are creative, and then you want them to interpret your brief the best way that they can. Yeah. So it's just about doing your due diligence, check if this person has done it before, and then hopefully they're able to bring their creative juice into play and then create something really nice for you.
Yes. Another thing that I actually do is to ask people around, ask like my agency friends, have you worked with this person? What were they like? Let me know if they're going to give me wahala before I can reach out to them. So word of mouth is actually great.
Yeah,
if you
true.
have other friends in other agencies or that work with other brands. So thank you so much. This has been such an insightful session. Gbemi and Hamed, thank you for giving us your time and allowing us to tap into your knowledge bank. Thank you everyone for joining today's Digital Perspective session. We're going to this session is recorded, so we're going to upload it on YouTube. And please follow us, Markova Creative Limited, on Instagram and LinkedIn, and you can check out our website to see any of the case studies or brands we've worked with. See you next time. Bye. Bye, everyone.
Bye,
Thank you so
everyone.
much.
Bye bye.
Bye.